Lynn Jr., being 17 years old, she was working at the Burpin Burger to help her parents pay for her sports fees. She liked the idea of working at her favorite food place, but she dreaded the night shifts. Last time she worked at a night shift, she was almost lured into a trap led by a group of gang members who had threatened to kill her, if it wasn't for her sister Lori to save her. However, one day was different at her night shift, and it was sure a swell one. It was around 6 p.m., and Lynn Jr. was getting ready for a night shift at the Burpin Burger when Luann and Mr. Coconuts were at the door. They were at the door to hers and Lucy's room. "Luann, why are you and Mr. Coconuts here?" Lynn Jr. asked. "I work here as well as my boyfriend Benny. Plus, I get the night shift tonight with him," Luann said. "Yeah, how swell is that?" Mr. Coconuts questioned. "So that means you'll be working with me on the night shift. Whoa, that's awesome! You and Benny and myself are the only ones working at the Burpin Burger tonight," Lynn Jr. said. "Yeah, that's awesome. We work from 7 to 1 a.m. Good thing me and Benny don't have school," Luann replied. "That's because you and him graduated last year, while I graduate in June. But since this is a Friday night, so I don't have to worry about school the next day," Lynn said, then had an idea in her mind. "I've got a swell idea, and it's even a fun one. You see when there's barely anybody at the Burpin Burger around closing time?" "Yeah, Benny and I usually eat some of the food there when no customers are around," Luann stated. "I'll tell you, you and Benny, when we get there tonight. It'll be a night to remember." As Lynn Jr. said that, Luann wondered what that could mean. When Lynn Jr. and Luann arrived at the Burpin Burger for a 7 p.m. shift, Benny was already at work while Luann and Lynn Jr. started to work on the food. Since it was past dinner time, the place wasn't as busy since people started to close up for the night. However, since Lynn Jr., along with Luann and Benny, had the closing shift, they had to close everything up. It was around 9 p.m. when the Burpin Burger was dead silent. They worked for 2 hours, and that was the best time for Lynn to unleash her plan. "There's no one here. Now I can tell you my plan." Lynn Jr. huddled Benny and Luann close to her so she could tell Luann and them about her plan. "What is the plan?" Benny asked. "Do you remember how Beavis and Butthead made a mess at Burpin Burger World or something?" Lynn Jr. replied, questioning Luann and Benny. "I do. What about it?" Luann asked. "Hope there's going to be no beer involved," Mr. Coconuts chirped. "There is no beer here anyways," Benny added. "It's pretty much just going to be like us doing what we want, and we could be silly, make a mess. A girl into sports like me loves to get dirty," Lynn Jr. answered. Would we get in trouble for that?" Luann asked. "Because the last thing I need is getting grounded from our parents." "Ouch, that wouldn't be good," Mr. Coconuts added. "I don't think they'll care. And besides, we'll clean up the mess afterwards," Lynn Jr. said while smiling. "Okay, but Luann and I are holding you to that," Benny warned Lynn Jr. Then he and Luann headed outside to the dumpster right outside the restaurant. Since they both had to take out the trash, Luann placed a bag inside the dumpster with Benny's help. Then Mr. Coconuts picked up an X-rated magazine. "Mr. Coconuts, what's that?" Luann asked her dummy. "I found a porn magazine." Ooh la la, there's a lot of hot chicks and guys in it," Mr. Coconut said, as he saw the images of men and women in the magazine. "Who would have thrown that magazine out? But thank God it wasn't anything illegal, or we would have reported it to the authorities," Luann replied. "Maybe someone got tired of seeing chicks with melons and guys with meat sticks," Benny chuckled, as he and Luann both laughed as they threw the X-rated magazine away and then headed back inside the Burpin Burger. There were still no customers inside the Burpin Burger to watch it since it was quiet inside. Luann and Benny headed inside from taking the trash out, and then Benny and Luann headed for the kitchen to fry up some french fries and get the burgers ready. As they did that, Lynn Jr. got a medium cup and filled it with soda inside. Once she did that, she threw the soda into the ceiling of the restaurant, causing it to explode and make a sticky mess on the floor. Lynn Jr. smiled at this. It wasn't the first time she had a food fight. Luann and Benny both made some fries and burgers along with some other stuff. just in case some customers were around. Luann got out some french fries and ate some herself, as Benny also did the same. Lynn Jr. then walked into the kitchen. She was covered in soda from throwing it to the ceiling, and she also decided to start a food fight. Lynn Jr. started to throw the burgers as well as some chicken nuggets and french fries from the kitchen on the inside, while being careful not to get hurt as well. "Food fight!" Lynn Jr. screamed as she threw a cheeseburger at Benny from the back of the counter where the register was. "One Big Mac with triple onions, lettuce, and cheese," Luann called out as she threw the burger at her sister. Lynn Jr. laughed as she ate the burger that splattered on her face. Benny also threw a chocolate milkshake at Luann, nearly missing her as some of the milkshake splattered on Luann's work shirt. "This is getting into a very milky situation. Get it? Ha ha ha!" Luann cackled at her pun as she, Benny, and Lynn Jr. brought the food that they had made to the register at the Burpin burger. "Let's throw some at the ceiling and watch it splatter," Lynn said, grinning with a mischievous grin. Benny, along with Luann, loved the idea. It wasn't every day that they could do stuff like that. "One pack of 10-piece chicken nuggets," Luann said as she threw a pack of chicken nuggets onto the floor. "One bottle of mustard," Benny called out as he squirted the mustard from the bottle all over the floor of the Burpin burger. "Would you like some fries with those, sir?" Lynn said as she threw a package of fries on the ground. The food fight lasted a few hours with no customers. While walking in the mess, they were lucky since that would mean trouble for them. Benny and Luann both made ice cream angels on the floor of the restaurant, while Lynn made a snowman made from ice cream. "I'm going to have a shower afterwards," Luann cackled at her pun, while she burped at the same time. "Try getting drunk when you become the age to drink. It isn't swell if you get a hangover," Mr. Coconut said. "My mom is going to be like, 'What happened to me?' So I'll have to sneak into the house without getting caught." Benny sighed as he got up and grabbed the burger from the counter to eat. "I've snuck in before, so I know my way around," Luann replied as Lynn Jr. helped them up, and then they looked at the big mess that they made while they were at work. Just as they thought that they were in the clear, Kim Possible walked inside the Burpin burger. She wasn't impressed when she looked around, seeing a huge mess of food and all over the restaurant. "Oh shit," Mr. Coconut said, seeing that Kim Possible walked inside the restaurant. Lynn Jr. along with Benny and Luann were nervous as Kim inspected the restaurant. They had just hoped that she wouldn't tell Rita and Lynn Sr. about the mess at Burpin burger, as well as Benny's mom. Otherwise, they would all be in trouble. Not just from the parents, but also from the manager of Burpin burger as well. "What happened here?" Kim asked, looking at Luann, Benny, and Lynn with the confusion but also not a happy look on her face. "I see a bunch of health code violations here, judging by the mess that happened." "We just got bored and we had a food fight," Mr. Coconuts explained. "Mr. Coconuts, you blew our cover, you dumbass!" Luann scolded. "I can say right now that I would call your parents and the manager here about this mess," Kim said, looking at the huge mess that Lynn, Benny, and Luann made during their shift. "I was bored, so I wanted to just do this one time. It will not happen again," Lynn explained. "Yeah, just please don't tell anybody about this, Kim," Benny pleaded. "Well, okay then. I can let this slide along with me, Rufus, and Ron, and we can all come in and help clean up this mess and make it the way it should be. But you all gotta help out too. Also, since you're covered in food, you all need to have showers," Kim stated. "But luckily, Dr. Draken gave me this portable shower invention to get you guys cleaned within seconds." "That will work. Let's just keep this a secret," Luann said, liking Kim's bribe. "We are just lucky that it wasn't the health department, Inspector. For this place, it would have been shut down for a few days or so," Benny added. "You are also very lucky that Shigo isn't with me. Otherwise, she would have roasted your asses for making a mess. She did that at Bueno Nacho when Jim and Tim both worked there, and they also had a food fight with the Barney Bunch," Kim said. "What did the Barney Bunch do?" Lynn asked. "You don't want to know, Lynn. Let's just clean up this mess with me, Rufus, and Ron's help, and then shower with this invention. If you all do that, I will not say a word about this to anyone, Kim said, as Rufus and Ron all walked inside of the restaurant. It's a deal, Lynn said. After 2 hours of cleaning up the restaurant at the Burpin Burger, it was finally cleaned again, and the food was all ready to be served again. Luann, along with Benny, Mr. Coconuts, and Lynn Jr., all showered and got clean from the food fight that was thrown at them from the food fight they had. That's much better, Kim said, seeing the nice, sparkling, clean restaurant. I smell something good, Ron commented, smelling the fries that made the kitchen yummy. Fries, yummy, Rufus said from Ron's pocket. We can make your orders for free, Miss Possible. No free of charge, Luann said, as she and Benny, along with Lynn, got Kim, Ron, and Rufus their burgers and fries. And drinks too, and don't forget your dessert, Benny said as they served Kim, Ron, and Rufus their food. Well, saving the world all day was tiring, so I guess food on the way home wouldn't hurt, Kim said, as she and Ron and Rufus took their food in their bags and their other stuff before leaving. And as soon as Rufus, Kim, Ron left the restaurant, Lynn Jr. looked at the time on the clock. It was saying 1 a.m. Realizing that it was time to close, they all shut everything off inside the restaurant. As soon as everything was shut off for the night, they took their food and headed home to eat before going to bed. Lynn Jr. had the best time of her life with her older sister and her boyfriend with the food fight, but they would never tell anybody about the food fight at the Burpin Burger, because if they ever did, they would get not only fired from the Burpin Burger, but as well they get into a lot of trouble from their parents. Lynn, along with Luann and Benny, never did have another food fight at a public restaurant like that again, since that would get them into a lot more trouble than just their parents grounding them.